Hello and welcome to Euro Football Daily. With top target Aurelien Tchouameni joining European champions Real Madrid, Liverpool seem to have changed their summer plans, but the statement acquisition of Darwin Nunez doesn't alter the questions around their midfield. Milner is 35, Henderson and Thiago both 31, while Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita are both permanently injured and out of contract in 2023. So who should Klopp target to build his midfield for the next generation? On today's Scout Report, we have 3 suggestions. Fabian Ruiz. As much as the signing of Darwin Nunez demonstrated Liverpool's growing commercial power, the Reds have historically been careful with their credit card. Only once since Klopp took over has the club spent more than 100 million in a single window, and though exits for Sadio Mane and Takumi Minamino will offset the Nunez fee, it's reasonable to imagine the transfer committee will focus on bargains for the remainder of their business, and Fabian Ruiz is an obvious value target. The Spaniard is now 26 and has just completed his 4th year at Napoli, having joined the Partenopei from Betis for £27 million in 2018. But with only 12 months on his contract, he's reportedly available for under £30 million this summer and offers enormous versatility, having featured in every midfield role during his time in Italy. His left-footedness might interest Klopp too, offering balance to a squad which counted only 2 lefties, Elliott and Salah, among the 15 midfielders and forwards they used regularly last season. In many ways, Ruiz is a discount Thiago. Always a phenomenal ball progressor, he averaged around 7 balls into the final third and 6 progressive passes per game last year, and that wasn't even his best campaign, having previously topped out at 9 final third entries and 8 defence splitting balls, putting him among the very best in Europe. The same goes for his chance creation, with 1.4 key passes a game very solid, but back in 2018-19 he was putting up double that figure in a more advanced role, placing 17th in the top 5 leagues that campaign, above David Silva. This suggests that Ruiz can do a job moving the ball into the final third or making the killer pass once he gets there, playing in a midfield 2 or 3, and he'd add an interesting goal threat from deep too, having grabbed 11 goals and assists from the centre of the park in 21-22, his best tally to date. And if you're wondering whether he'd have the work rate for Klopp, there's no need to worry. Though Ruiz seems to glide around the pitch effortlessly, he's always rated well for pressing, closing down the opposition more than Henderson or Fabinho, and last season was his best for ball winning, making close to 4 tackles and interceptions on a side which averaged 59% of possession, the most in Italy. Also a solid runner, making the top 17% of midfielders for progressive carries, the top 12% for carries into the opposition third, and the top 7% for distance carried, Ruiz has a great sense for when to drive upfield and when to look for a teammate, and is experienced and underpriced, offering Liverpool someone capable of setting tempo like Henderson, creating like Thiago, covering space like Milner, or bursting forward like Naby Keita. Previously named as a target for Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus and Manchester City, Ruiz would surely jump at the chance to work under Klopp and finally become the household name his talent has always promised he could be. Bruno Guimaraes. It says a lot about Thiago's quality that the Spaniard made the PFA Team of the Year despite playing just 1,500 minutes, 11th in the Liverpool squad and only 45% of the available total. Unfortunately, that's the story of his career, with over 25 starts in a season just twice, and at 31 it doesn't matter how good he is when he plays, the Reds need a plan for when he can't. Replacing such a talent is as hard a job as you'll find, but the answer could be right under Liverpool's noses. Bruno Guimaraes enjoyed a monster half-season following his £38 million switch to Newcastle in January, and while signing him would mean going head-to-head with the might of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, the Brazilian already looks worth it. As hoped, the midfielder made a huge difference to the performance of Eddie Howe's side, with the Magpies taking 2 points per game when he played, which over the course of a full season would equal 76 points and a Champions League berth. But interestingly, he hasn't been the same player in England that he was in France, playing an entirely different role from the one he excelled in at Lyon. Previously, Bruno was a passing hub with 65 successful passes a game, but that slid all the way down to 38 at St James's Park, while he was much less active in ball progression too, with final third entries down from 8 to 3.6 and progressive passes and chances created declining too. He also did much less ball carrying than before. Progressive distance, the number of yards a player carries the ball forward each match, halved from 200 yards to 100, and he went from 9 progressive runs per 90 to under 5. Still good, ranking in the top third of midfielders, but down from the top 3% in Europe. So less passing and less running, but still good enough for Liverpool. Well, the difference in numbers is so big that it indicates someone being asked to perform a new function in the team, rather than a Ligue 1 player struggling to adapt to the Prem. And if he moved from a press and counter outfit like Newcastle to a ball-dominant behemoth like Liverpool, we'd expect him to scale up nicely, recovering some of that lost distribution volume. But there's still tons to like in the numbers he has put up on Tyneside. Bruno's defensive output actually marginally increased in the northeast, with a lot of pressures, 26 a game, and an eye-watering 6 tackles and interceptions per 90 minutes, both of which would sit top of the Liverpool squad. And what he lost in passing he made up in the final third, tripling his shots to nearly 2 a match and putting up almost twice his previous best XG tally at 0.4 XG per 90, essentially offering the midfield solidity of an Ndidi or Partey while adding attacking output at the same level as Reece James or Martin Odegaard. That means that in a way Bruno would offer huge value for money. He can feature as an incredible playmaking central midfielder, hoovering up possession then splitting the opposition with passing or running in the mode of Declan Rice. Or he can be a hard-working off-ball player, more like Conor Gallagher, harrying opponents to win the ball back, doing some progression, but mostly moving into space to cause trouble in the danger zone. An interesting profile for a club which never replaced Gini Wijnaldum. It's just as well he can do so much, because the price would be insane, and there's a deadline for the move, as Bruno's 25th birthday arrives in November, meaning that if you're gonna pay a fortune to bring him in, you want to do it soon, to extract maximum value from a signing which could approach 9 figures. If they don't want to tussle with the PIF, Liverpool could even consider going straight to the source, targeting Lyon youngster Maxence Caqueret, who likewise combines enormous defensive effort with incisive passing and press resistance. Either one would be a worthy successor to a modern great. Florian Wirtz. While Liverpool's success has been built on the 4-3-3, there's no reason to believe they'll be wedded to that setup forever. Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund primarily rolled out in a 4-2-3-1, and with Mane gone and Salah potentially walking on a free next summer, a formation change could be in the offing. After all, as good as Nunez, Diaz, Jota looks as a frontline, it's not crazy to wonder if that three will be able to hit the heights managed by Salah, Mane, Firmino, and if they can't, one way to supplement their output would be to drop in a true attacking midfielder behind them. Step forward Florian Wirtz, part of the new wave of wide 10s. These players boast the vision we associate with traditional attacking mids, but the pace and trickery of a winger, like Foden, Mount or Kevin De Bruyne, who made his name on the flank at Wolfsburg. And while Wirtz has played the overwhelming majority of his games in the whole, he's also featured on both flanks and as a false 9, meaning he would bolster Klopp's attack and midfield in one swoop. This versatility can be seen in Wirtz's player comps, with FB Ref's list of most statistically similar footballers to the German, including wide men like Neymar, Sané and Gnabry, but also Ruslan Malinovsky, Ziyech and Mount. So what exactly does he do to earn these prestigious comparisons? Well, basically everything. Wirtz's 21-22 campaign was truncated by a ruptured cruciate ligament, but before that he'd taken a big leap forward, racing from 11 goal involvements in the whole of the previous season to 17 in just 24 appearances. That works out to a contribution every 109 minutes, and Wirtz's XG soared skywards to match, rising to 0.63 per 90, exactly the same as successful transplants from the Bundesliga to the Prem, like Kai Havertz and KDB. An elite threat in the final third, Wirtz either takes or creates about 5 shots a game, placing 18th in Europe's top 5 leagues, just below Mbappe and above Liverpool's best creative weapon, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And while that's obviously partly down to his importance to Leverkusen, with the team built around him, he could develop a similar centrality at Anfield in the long term, as, at 19, he has time to be slowly integrated into the 11, and the chops to fill Thiago's or Salah's boots when they go. Like a conventional midfielder, Wirtz rates well for progressive passing and carrying, and has on occasion dropped into the middle of the park. But what's unusual is that he combines this skill set with an ability to receive outballs and one-on-one threat. 8.7 progressive passes received per 90 might sound difficult to understand, but it means the teenager is a better outlet than 91% of players in his position, and he manages over 2 dribbles per game at a 64% success rate. That gives him a huge advantage over a creator like Martin Odegaard, for example, who is a great passer, but is not likely to outpace a defender or skill up a fullback, making him easier to predict. Of course, you'd expect that dribble completion to come down in the Prem, with more athletic and experienced defenders to beat. But given that Jota manages 44% and Salah 42%, Wirtz could find dribbling a lot harder at Anfield and still be good enough to help the Reds. And if you're worried about the Bundesliga attacks generally, it's worth comparing some of Wirtz's key stats to German players we know are good, like Thomas Müller, who gets the ball into the box less often than the Leverkusen starlet, passes forward less, and creates fewer chances. That suggests that there's more to Wirtz than playing in an easy division, and even if he had adaptation difficulties, he would still fit Liverpool's defensive structure from day one, with huge pressing stats which would rank behind only Keita and Jota at Anfield. With a contract until 2026, he wouldn't come cheap, but Liverpool have shown a willingness to spend big on difference makers who they believe can take the club to the next level. Rating alongside Pedri as the best teenage talent in world football, Wirtz would surely fall into that category. So those are 3 midfielders we think Liverpool could consider as they enter their new generation, but who would you pick for the Anfield side? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll never miss an upload. We'll see you next time.